At 4:15 p.m.
Trustee Muhammad.
Here.
Trustee House.
Here.
Trustee Stubbs.
Here.
Trustee Denton.
Present.
Trustee Pearson.
Present.
Trustee Henyard.
Present.
Okay, we can all stand for the pledge, and then Trustee, if you would do the prayer after that, Trustee Stubbs.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can everybody bow their heads, please? Heavenly Father, I come to you in the name of Jesus just to thank you for another day. Thank you for the opportunity for us to assemble here. Let us please let everything be decent and in order. I ask you to come into this room and put your loving arms around all of us. And thank you for the safe passage here. And thank you in advance for the safe passage home. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, first item of old business is the police department, and if we could, Chief Collins, to go to the podium for your presentation. While Chief is doing that, we'd like to make a note. Ms. Redmond suggests we have our last budget meeting of the Finance Committee next Wednesday for the remaining three departments. I believe it was media. What were the other two?
It's media, health, fitness, and administration.
Okay. And that would be Wednesday, the same time, next Wednesday, 4 p.m., if that's okay with everyone on the board. Okay. We have a consensus. Yes, sir. Chief?
Thank you, sir. May I hand out documents that I'd like to work from?
Yes, sir.
And what I'd like to do is go line by line, but before I actually start that, in the area where you see salaries and the other benefits and whatnot, nothing has really changed too much from last year. Salaries are what they are, something we can't control. The majority of ours are controlled by contractual obligations. So where I would like to start is with line item 511, maintenance service building. That line item will still be $15,000. I'm not requesting any change to that line. 512, maintenance servicing equipment at $4,000, no change to that line, same as last year. Servicing vehicles, I'm requesting an increase of $5,000 from $75,000 to $80,000, and the reason for that is I've rolled another line item into it just for efficiency, but also due to the age of the fleet, it will require more maintenance. They're not new vehicles anymore, so we'll have to go in for more preventive maintenance and repair. Any questions on the increase?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That includes one vehicle? Are you talking about the purchase of a vehicle?
No, that is the maintenance costs for all of our entire fleet. Flat tires, replacing tires, oil changes, everything that goes with the maintenance of a vehicle.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
On 536 for janitorial services, we had budgeted $16,000 in last year's budget for the services of Pit Stop. I do have a proposal that I would like to present at the board meeting in regards to that. That would end up with the village having a savings, but due to the retirement of one of our maintenance people, that freed up the salary, and I'd also freed up the $16,000, and I'll present that at the board meeting unless the board members would like to hear a portion of it now.
Are you talking about item 536?
Yes, sir, 536.
Is that the proposal that includes the other entities, this building also, that person that's contracted for your building would also do this building?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but that price, I'm sorry, that item cost is the same, 16?
No, sir. In the proposal, well, let me start with the retirement of Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox's salary was approximately $24,000 per year because he was a part-time employee. What the proposal is, because that portion of the budget is freed up to $24,000, and with the eradication of Pit Stop, that freed up the additional $16,000. So my suggestion would be to take one of the former Pit Stop employees, have him work at the police department, and spend a few hours or a couple hours over here at approximately $13,000 or $14,000, and that would still give us a savings of just a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I talked with the village administrator, and he went into detail on that. So that's definitely a savings that he would do both buildings, and that would be Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday. And also, he would not be a village employee, so there wouldn't be any benefits attached to whatever price we agreed on. He would be just like a vendor, and the vendor is responsible for his own insurance and paying his own taxes and whatnot.
Okay.
Okay, line item 549, other professional services. We're requesting an increase to $76,800. That would also include what we were told to put in for IT services of $16,800. That $16,000 is not the entire cost of IT. That would just be the police department's portion of paying that. Okay, moving on to item 551. I would like to decrease that line item from $4,000 to $2,000 in an analysis of the postage that we used for the year prior, and also to that, it wasn't that much. So we do not need as big a line item right there. Okay, the dues, the next line item, 561. Dues would be such as the International Association of Chiefs of Police organization that I should be a member of. Also, the Illinois Chiefs of Police Association, South Suburban Chiefs of Police Association. Those are memberships so that I can have access to resources that I can bring to the village, and also knowledge and ideas on policies and whatnot. So I would like to increase that just a little bit from $1,000 to $1,500 so I can cover all the dues. In line item 562, we are requesting no change to this. This is travel expenses, $5,000. What this will come into play, where this will come into play is there have been times where we would have to have an investigator go to another state to pick up a fugitive, interview witnesses, basic travel expenses, airfare, car, hotel, whatever the case may be, and also with conferences.
Question on that, Chief.
Yes, sir.
You used for fiscal year 2017 $1,200, but you're going back up to budgeted from 2017, but only $1,200, almost $1,210 was used. Do you think it would be that much more than from the previous year?
I can only speculate as to how much activity the police department will have. Last year, we did have to do some travel, not as much, but because of the irregularity of predicting when crime will happen, I would like to have, it's not a big buffer, but some kind of buffer there so that we don't go over budget on that line item.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to line item 563, the training budget. I am requesting a decrease from $40,000 to $30,000. Also, again, in an analysis of the amount of training and also the mandatory training, it did not amount to that much, so we could put that in another line item.
Again, on that same item, last year you only spent $18,439. So, again, why up to 30? 18 to 30.
Every year, the state legislators come up with new mandated obligations, and one example of that is an unfunded mandate of the Narcan, which should be in every police car in the state of Illinois. What comes with that is having the training officers, and that would be training that we have never done before, but now that it is required, we have to pay for that type of training. And that's just an example of some of the mandates. The other mandates are the continuous use of force, the de-escalation training. Those are all new items that we have never had to budget for before, so I'm just anticipating all our officers having to go through those training courses.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
In the public education area, line item 566, I would like to decrease that line item from $10,000 to $8,000. That would include any flyers, posters, mailings, anything that we had as far as PSAs, public service announcements. And we also want to roll into this line item the expenses for National Night Out. Okay, line item 594, organizational memberships. We are not requesting any change in this particular line item. It's still at $8,000. $597, we are also not requesting any change to other contractual services. Right now, it is at $100,000. The last budget that we were in, it was significantly over budget due to items that should not have come out of this line item, but did, that had to do with other contracts that should probably be in the general budget. Other miscellaneous expenses, line item 598, I'm requesting an increase of $5,000 to $30,000.
Now, could you go into detail what exactly is miscellaneous expenses?
An example, like our back garage. One of the things that would help us when we have to bring in vehicles that the state police process for us as far as evidence are wheel carts that the car can sit on. So you don't have to have a tow truck, you don't have to start the car, you just put them on these little dollies and roll them around. That would be an example of a miscellaneous expense. It's not something that automatically comes with the police department. You have to kind of think out of the box for more efficiency. So in that particular line item, that's where we would draw from.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, line item 611, maintenance supplies, buildings and grounds. We're not requesting any change to this line. It is at $2,000. Line item 612, I rolled that into 512 just for more efficiency. It is the same type of thing, so it should probably just be in one line item. Same thing for 613, I rolled it into 513. Line item 651, office supplies. I'm requesting a small increase from $9,000 to $10,000. Any questions on that one?
You actually went down substantially, if I'm reading the right one. No, that was office. You're not talking about office supplies, are you?
Office supplies 561, line item 561.
Yeah, you went down. You sound like you said you went up. You actually went down from last year, from 18 to 10.
Yes, sir.
Which is okay. Thank you.
Line item 652, operating supplies. I'm requesting an increase from there from $10,000 to $15,000 due to how much we utilize that line item. It was over budget, but we do believe with other changes we can operate within that particular line item without going over. Automotive fuel, in that particular line item, not requesting any increases at all. And on line item 658, this particular line item is actually the asset forfeiture account, which should not be a budgeted item. That should just be a fund that sits until it is actually needed. So we should not budget to pull anything from that unless it's absolutely needed. But the asset forfeiture account can only be used for items that has to do with law enforcement or improving police facilities only. Line item 659, this is something that we had not budgeted for before, is the petty cash fund. Petty cash fund could be if we need to go to Ace Hardware to purchase maybe some tools to fix something in the station or pieces and parts. Instead of having to do a PO for $5 or $6 or $10, just use the petty cash fund, save the receipts. And what I had been doing is once I amassed $1,000 worth of receipts, turned it in for support, and receive a check to get another request for petty cash. What we've also been using that fund for is whenever we have high-profile cases in which we have to call out the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force. One of the protocols of the police departments is if you host them, you also provide them with dinner because they're helping you. So we've also been using that fund for that too.
Question on that one. On
Yes, sir.
659, it was previously labeled as informant/line of expenses, so it would include that also.
Yes, and I think it was only at $1,000, if I'm not mistaken, without checking my notes.
10.
Okay, so yeah, I requested it that it be $10,000 because there is a chance that we can go through our petty cash month by month, but I don't want $1,000 a month. I think we can manage it with just in an entire year with $10,000, and it will still be there for what if we don't need it, it'll still be sitting there, and there's receipts to support it.
How often would that petty cash account be audited?
So I save all the receipts, whatever we purchase out of petty cash. The receipts get turned into finance to show that this was spent on whatever particular item. If it has to do with the Major Crimes Task Force, I always write the victim's name on there and also the report number, so we would also be able to trace it back to whatever case it belongs to. But Ace Hardware would be just a receipt, something like that, and it gets turned into finance, and hopefully the auditing can start from there.
I think with that one, I think the dollar amount seems reasonable. I think you're up to speed on that. I would just recommend a frequency or audit policy monthly that somebody comes in just to make sure that we don't have that there's not 6 months that goes by without check and balance.
I agree. Any further questions on that one? Okay, moving down to line item 830, the purchase of new equipment. What we had been exploring is the possibility of outfitting our officers with body-worn cameras, which is probably, I would say it's a wonderful idea because it protects the village, it protects the officers, and it also protects the citizens out on the street. When people are on camera, they tend to have display a different behavior. Enough said about that. But also we have in-car camera systems that will record events, traffic stops, or anything that the officer has to drive to. Currently, we do have in-car camera systems, but we don't have enough to outfit all the cars with it. And I think it would be a good idea if we had that type of system in all of our squad cars that are on the street.
Question on that one.
Yes, sir.
There's a training component in this also, right? The reason why I ask, because I've seen instances where body cams had not been activated during some confrontation with a citizen.
Yes.
And then it would be activated afterwards. Is there a training component with this $30,000 so that when officers are trained, that's in place? And is there a backup system? In other words, I'm assuming you have to manually activate it.
Right. So if I can just go a little bit into depth about that. The state of Illinois does have a statute specifically regarding body-worn cameras. And it gives guidelines, and not actually guidelines, it's protocols that police departments must follow with these body-worn cameras. And one of the things is there has to be something called a pre-event buffer, which means that if I activate the camera right now, it has to have had the ability to record the previous 30 seconds. So if I come upon an encounter, a few seconds later, I had forgotten to turn my camera on. Oops, let me turn it on now. It will have already caught the previous 30 seconds. So it's on a rolling, continuous recording basis. Also with that, there has to be training. If whatever vendor we decided to go with, there would have to be a training provided that goes with the package, not something that the police department has to seek later on. If you're talking to a victim of a crime, if the victim requests that the officer turns the camera off, the officer must turn the camera off. There's a whole slew of requirements with these body-worn cameras. In fact, Illinois is probably one of the most burdensome or restrictive policies that are in place right now. But I think they are a good system, a good tool, and I think we should employ those.
The system that we would purchase, is there, this is more of a technical question. Each camera has a file, a video file. Is that file brought in at the end of the day and that vendor would store it on a cloud? How do you access video once it's stored? Because is it sent to a cloud once the officer is done with it for the day? How is that done, the filing of those files?
The pilot program that we are currently involved in right now, and I specifically sought out this one particular company, but there are others that are similar, but we wanted to pilot this one, is one of the components is we don't have to have our own servers to store, because video, especially high definition video, takes up massive amounts of storage. So we would constantly have to upgrade the storage the more video that we amass. So this particular company, as with a few other companies, have a cloud basis, just like you mentioned, Trustee, that the officer logs into the system at the end of the shift, he plugs the camera in, and the video files are automatically sent to the cloud without any chance to manipulate, delete, or alter any of the video.
And last, court cases, I'm guessing this video is admissible in court. In your study of this and research of this, does it help a village and the police department when it comes to cases where video has to be presented of an incident or incidences?
Absolutely. There's been actual cases on both sides of the coin that would help bolster the officer's case against a suspect, but also if there's a citizen complaint against a police officer. There's a video file that we can go to and review and make a determination if the complaint is substantiated or just not true.
Okay, you just made me think of one more question. The storing of these files, is there a time limit that the vendor would keep these on the cloud, that they would be dumped and then recycled, or what's the contract on that?
So any video, let's say an officer went the entire shift and only had video from traffic, things that are not very significant, there's a 30-day storage on that. So that 30-day would be purged out after that particular part. Now, let's say there's something like a capital case, like if we had a murder or something of that magnitude. Now those particular files have to be stored indefinitely. So there's a marker when the officer downloads it, take a particular video, he puts a marker on it, and it tells it to store it for 30, 60, 120, or indefinitely.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Yes, sir.
If there are no more questions, we can relieve the chief and bring forward permits and licensing.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Good afternoon. Okay, permits and licensing. I'm going to start with the postage. Last year we were budgeted.
What number is that?
That is 551. We were budgeted $1,100. I don't believe we came anywhere close to that amount. So this year, we will budget $300. Most of our postage is used during relicensing periods for contractor licenses. Well, we're not doing contractor licenses. We're not mailing those out. We're actually waiting for the contractors to come to the village when they have a job and actually get licensed and permitted at that time, which saves us some money on the postage. The printing budget, as you see, was $7,500. We've actually used $2,000, a little over $2,000. We're budgeted this year for $2,000. The reason there's such a big difference is that we have a new permit and licensing system, whereas the system will print a lot of the items that we used to send out for printing. We no longer have to send out for our permit printing and other forms that go with that. The system will create those for us now. The seminars, we were budgeted $1,000. I didn't get a chance to go to any seminars this year, but I would like to carry that over to the next year. Hopefully I can get away. Other contractual services, we're asking for an increase because our request for inspections, electrical inspections, plumbing inspections are increasing because our permits services have increased. So that would cover paying our electrical contractor and our plumbing contractor, who are both contractual. They do not work for the village, so they're not in the salary.
Question, Ms. Phillips, on that. Who are all the vendors for other contractual service? Because actually, it's a reduction based upon what I'm seeing. You spent $20,000 last year, but you're bringing it down to 18. It sounded like you said you were asking for an increase, but what services are covered under other contractual service? You mentioned electrical inspectors and plumbing inspectors.
We have one electrical inspector, Carnell Carter, and we have a plumbing inspector, Bruce Zartledge. And sometimes we use another electrical inspector who does our bigger jobs, like for commercial, and he's more familiar with the commercial, so we use him intermittently.
So it's 3 that you're using?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you feel comfortable going down from 20 to 18? Because it sounds like you're saying you're getting more activity.
We're getting more activity. I think that number's going down because, one, the plumbing inspector and our sometimes electrical inspector, they haven't charged us for all of the inspections that they've done. So, but I think that we can make it through with the 18. I'm not sure what the other miscellaneous is, so I'm going to go past that. Office supplies. The 730 is what we've spent so far. I can see that we'll stay in the $1,000 range, if that much. It's not a lot that we buy.
There's nothing budgeted for that item. Are you saying that you need to add $1,000 to that, or you want it to stay the same?
It stay the same.
Okay.
New equipment, I would like to use the 1,500 because Our computer system, I need 2 new computers. The computers we have now are super slow, and there's more demand on the computers, particularly with the new program that we have. So I would like to purchase 2 new computers.
Has IT did some research for you to get 2 computers? Because it's budgeted for $700 for 2 PCs. I'm assuming if that's what you're saying you need. Is that 700 figure based upon?
On what IT says, they can do it for $400 approximately for 2 computers.
Per computer?
Yes.
Okay.
And if there are no more questions, that's all I have.
There's none for me. There are no other questions. Thank you, Ms.
All right.
Phillips. Public
Thank you.
Works? Oh, I'm sorry. We do have someone.
Just one quick question for you. When was the last time, do you recall, that the permit fees went up?
Not since I've been doing permits.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, trustees. I am going off of the sheet that we were handed out. These were where all my numbers were put at. Starting with the salaries, medical, tax, and IMRF. That's all done through the finance department. If you want to look at GL number 458, that's the uniform allowance for the workers. It was budgeted for $40,000. It went up to $56,000. That's all due to what was negotiated through the contract. I've spoke with Mr. Urban while we've been working on the contract negotiations to go back to giving them just the regular check for their allowance so that they can go out and get what they need to do their job. The number will be after contract negotiations has been taken care of and set. The next one would be 511, which would be maintenance, service, buildings, and grounds. All right, 511 is combined with 611. In 2016, there were maintenance, buildings, and grounds, and then you had maintenance supplies for your buildings. So back when that was going on, Mr. Urban took that amount, the $8,000 and the $5,000, and put it up to $13,000 for 2017. We spent $60,000, $365.30. I'm requesting for $75,000 for that due to we have doors on our buildings that we're having problems closing them and that because they're rusted out. They're metal doors around the outside. I have holes in the front office in the roof. I have holes in the back garage in the roof. One section of our building does not have heat for the winter time. We worked off of space heaters for the guys. The reason for is the stuff is so old they cannot repair it anymore. So that's why I'm requesting that on that line item. I will be working on getting estimates and all that for the heating and that. I just wanted to see, how to go forward through the board to get, if it's going to be worth fixing it or possibility of adding on to the main garage for the offices and shut the front building down because it's so old. So that's where I am with that.
Okay, question on 511.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned roofing. You need roofing work at the at your building, correct?
Yes.
That's part of that $75,000?
Yes, that would be for the front office building and the main garage.
Now, there's no one on your staff you say you have to get bids or estimates. There's no one in-house that can do roof repair for that building?
We can do the metal roofing on the main garage. That's the sheet metal roofing that it has. It's going to cost a lot. I believe I had Scott go out and get some prices on it. But the front office building is a tar roof. That's the tar with the stone. And plus there's a lot of rotted wood underneath it. There's stuff falling in on the second floor by the guys' locker rooms and the shower area. So we're trying to keep it cleaned up how we can.
So again, there's no one in-house that
Not
can
with
do
the
all
tar.
that you described?
No, not with the tar.
Okay.
Not even Scott?
He said maybe, but you need a lot of guys that know what they're doing up there with the tar roof. So the second one is maintenance service equipment. That was budgeted at 65. We went over a little bit because we do still have some old equipment and trucks that are out there. But everything is running good so far. I'm keeping it the same again at 65,000. 513 is the maintenance for the vehicles, which would be the pickups, the cars, some of the smaller stuff. It was budgeted for 75. We went to 104. And some of that was due to stuff being in the wrong budget area. Also, with the, some of the stuff was for other departments that the ladies didn't catch as they were putting it through to be billed. I talked to Yvonne on some of it. We've changed it around. So I'm going to take that to 70,000 instead of 75.
Question on that also.
Yes, sir.
Is any in-house servicing of the vehicles done by any persons with some type of mechanical background that can work on some of these? I'm not talking about the big rigs, but the smaller.
No, yes, we have for both small and the big trucks too.
You have an in-house mechanic?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
521, I put for maintenance service for the sidewalks. We replaced some sidewalks last year and it took it up to 9,850. What I did was I put it to 20,000 because I know at one time we were talking about the 50/50 sidewalk program. 20,000 is a decent amount, I think, to start out with. See, I spoke with Mary Kay and we have to kind of update the ordinance for the 50/50 sidewalk program. So I put it at 20,000, throw it out there to you guys to see what you guys think about it. And like I said, if we go with it, we'd have to update the ordinance that's on the books right now.
Question. For 2017, did you actually have anyone to participate in the 50/50, or we just paid the entire amount?
The people had called and asked about it, but some of the stuff that we did for the 9,800, there were some hazards out there where the sidewalks were buckled up. I mean, they were trip hazards. So we took care of them ourselves due to the trees and all that growing up, pushing the sidewalks up and all that.
So what I'm asking, has anyone in 2017 used the 50/50 program at all?
No, people
That was all us?
they've inquired about it, but yeah, that was all us.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Question, do you keep a spreadsheet of the properties you maintain for the sidewalks? Like you just.
Yeah, we have it all on a spreadsheet at the office.
Okay, can you send that to the board?
Sure. Other miscellaneous. Let me pull out that one.
Yeah, for that one, you spent 12,800, but this year you lowered it more than
Right,
half to
I'm
5,000.
trying-
What are
let me-
those services that are maintenance service other?
529. Yes, that was dealing with Safety Clean, some purchases from Home Depot, and Great Lakes Underground Supplies and that. That's through some of the maintenance throughout the garage, and we have either eliminated some of it because we weren't using it, or we still have it. So that's why I dropped it down. There were a few that we eliminated. There isn't a number. I forgot to talk to Yvonne about a GL number for the tree maintenance. It was in there the 1 year for 50,000, so I put it back in for.
You skipped 549, other professional services, from
Oh, I'm sorry.
237,000 last year and dropping it down to 67,000. What transpired that it's
Oh, that one
projected so
was
low?
with 549, there was a lot of, we caught up with a lot of our concrete work, tree trimming, side repairs, and that's about it. There was a lot of work that we caught up with last year that went into that account, and it must have been through the girls overbilling it or whatnot, but there's a lot that we caught up on. So that's why it went down. Now we're working right now, just keeping up with everything we do so we don't get far behind like it was before.
Question for you.
Yes.
You said that you caught up, you did the concrete work. Did you contract that out?
Yeah,
Or
the
did you
concrete
guys-
work, yes, we contracted it out.
Okay, that's all I had.
Do that type work?
We have two guys at tops, but you need like 5 guys that really know what they're doing, especially when you got a truck full of cement coming your way. So there are a few that can do it, but like I said, we need to get a few more, maybe 3 to 4 more that know how to lay cement, finish cement, jitterbug it, float it, everything.
Do your guys ever go out for any type of training?
I haven't come across anything for concrete work yet. I've sent them out for electrical, tree trimming, underground stuff like that, but there's been nothing for concrete work yet. I could put that out to my association and see if they have anything for any type of training and teaching of doing concrete work.
What about other villages? Public Works in other villages?
Some of them do contract out and have other companies come in.
If there's some that's out there that do their own work, is it a possibility that we can have a training day? If they allow, they got to come over here and train with our guys?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like I said, I could put it out to the association, see how many of them do their own concrete work, how many do contracting, and go from there. I'll see if they can have somebody come out and, show the guys. See what other tools we need to get.
Another question for you also. As we were going through the invoices, a lot of invoices were going to Calumet Plumbing.
Okay,
Lot of them.
okay.
And maybe if you have time, one day we can sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
I got a question regarding the tree, because you got tree maintenance. So what's that, the 67,000?
50,000.
So you going with the same budget for trees, right?
Yes.
Okay. My question to you is, you already know, I talk about tree trimming and cutting people trees forever. The same list that I gave you is still not cut. Why is that?
I'm not sure because I've emailed you a list with a lot of your addresses on it that we've trimmed.
It's not cut. So you gonna take
I
a
will-
picture
I will look
or
at-
go
I will-
by there?
That's fine. If you want to send me the address again where it wasn't cut, and I'll make sure we get it taken care
Yeah,
of.
that's dead. That's a year later, and it's still not taken care of. So my issue is you're not doing it because why? That's my issue. Because if the resident keep calling me about the same issue, that means I'm not doing my job.
Well, we're out there trimming them and cutting them, so
Nope.
I'll
Do
send
you
you
remember
the
that board
list.
meeting I read that email off about the trees that weren't cut?
Yeah, and I sent you
Yeah.
the list of trees that we've
not
been.
cut.
Okay, well, we'll
So I
take
need
care
you
of
to
it.
really, really work on that this week, please.
Okay.
Question for you, Matt, on that
Yes, sir.
same item. There is no item number for tree maintenance unless it's coming under 549. But I don't see where monies were budgeted for. When you say tree maintenance, that includes trimming and cutting of a tree down. Is that
Well,
what that means, tree maintenance?
The tree maintenance is for anything bigger than what we can handle because we don't have, like in the area by Dolton Park, those are very tall trees over in that area, and we don't have the boom truck to get up that high like the outside companies do. And that's what that would be for. The trimming and all that, we've been out trimming trees and cutting down the ones that we can handle cutting down.
Okay, so my question though, people like Podarski, I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Yeah,
it, but people
Podarski,
like that.
yes.
So what I'm saying that I don't see what was budget for 16 or 17.
I believe it was 15. I thought it was in last year, but I believe it was 15 we did 50,000. I can check on that and get it to you to make sure which year it was, but we had it the 1 year and we never brought it back again. So we have been getting calls on some of the bigger trees that we can't handle due to equipment-wise and the training for the bigger ones. So that's why I put it back in there. Telephones, I believe we took that out and put that in with the utilities, which would be 571. The dues, I'm sorry, I'm jumping a little ahead, but the dues are, we spent 38, we had it at, I'm sorry, let me get back on track. It was 3,500, we used $100, so I just moved it to $1,000. Some of the dues are for the pump house with having your operator's license, dues for any of the associations that I deal with, and some of the other workers. Training.
Hold on, I got a question. You're going a little too fast. On item 552, which is your phones, when telephone, does that mean the actual, is that cell phones that the workers have along with the phones that's in the office?
Right, no, that's dealing just with the buildings, the front office and the back garage have phone lines, and they just changed ours from AT&T, and we are the Comcast Vonage now, so our internet, phone, and cable are all linked into one, and we moved it to 571 under the utilities.
I know, but if you look at that 552, it went up to $13,000 for your phone bill. You're saying because they went over to Comcast, which is nothing budgeted for this year, you're combining 552 along with
No, I'm
571?
sorry, I'm canceling out the 552. We're
Okay,
not going to use that.
Okay, so for phones, then we should be looking at, what, 571? That includes all your utilities?
Correct.
In that
Yes,
office?
correct.
But again, even if that's the case, you'd only spent almost $5,400 last year, but you're going up to $25,000 because you're including the phones plus utilities for that Public Works office? Is that, so I'm understanding that?
That,
So you're including the telephones, which
yeah,
is...
let me check with Yvonne on that, because I believe we do have our gas and electric
Okay.
into that too. I'm not, let me
So,
double
Ms.
check to
Redmond,
make
if you
sure.
could let us know if that
Yeah.
$25,000 includes phone,
Right.
light, and gas.
Right.
That's what it seems like, but
Yeah, if I remember, that's what it was, but I will double check on that one. The training was at 1,500, and, oh, I'm sorry, 1,500. We used 1,024. I would like to move it up to 2,000 because I have been sending a lot more guys. They've been bringing out more training for us throughout the Public Works Association and the South Suburban Directors Association. I have some guys that went out through training this year already for the street lighting and electrical. They've been out the whole department. If I remember right, there might be a couple that we still have to get, but everybody's gone out for tree trimming classes, chainsaw training. So all the training, you know, they're starting to get it little by little as they bring it out. But now with having more guys on the roster, I'd like to move it up to 2,000, because our trainings that we go to, most of them are at a low cost, $50, $100 a guy. So if I can just, you know, get it to 2,000, just this way we'll be okay. I don't see it going no higher than that.
What about, Matt, what
Yes.
about the testing for the water? Do
The
you send
water,
anybody out?
I can't force anybody to go, but we do have two guys. It was going to be on the next month's report. We do have two guys that just went and took their Illinois state test. The two guys passed it, and they are now certified operators in training. They are not a legit water operator yet until they get the training through Mike Lake, who is the operator for the town. They have to do so many hours with him, and they've all been, or the two of them have been taking turns going with him, doing water samples, knowing how to do them. I mean, it's a big thing. That's why they're operators in training. They if they do a bad water sample, we have a stack of paperwork that big we have to fill out. We have to resample on each side of where the original sample was taken from, plus send it out back to the lab.
Can you tell me who were the two?
The two guys that took their test and passed it is Anthony Gentile and Lonzo Riley. And Mike, like I said, Mike's been working with them because his license expires at the end of the year, and he will be retiring within a year after that.
So, do you know how often that these classes are offered?
They're offered all the time through Joliet Junior College. They have a night class there at the one. It's right off of 80, further south. Not the main campus, but the sub campus from it. They have one there all the time. They're 13 weeks, I think. I think it's 13, 14-week class.
And how often do you post?
I don't post. I tell people about it, but like I said, I can't force anybody to go because according to they have to pay for it themselves, and then per contract they get reimbursed back when they bring their certificate in.
If you don't mind, if you all have a bulletin board there,
Mm-hmm.
Can you start posting it?
Yeah, not a problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That's it.
The utilities, I'm going to check in with Yvonne. 572. That was budgeted 25,000. We spent 24. I didn't put anything in there because I moved it to 617. The 25,000 was originally last year to purchase new streetlight poles and streetlight arms. We do have some in stock right now. We should be okay, but with it being down at 617, I put for 25,000 there. That'll cover if we need to purchase any more streetlight poles and to get any fixtures, supplies, and all that for the streetlights.
So that includes poles, arms, and the actual lamp?
Yeah, if we need them, yes.
How often do you take inventory?
Usually with the streetlights, you have to understand I have 6 in stock right now. I purchased some. You can't just go to the dealer and say I need a streetlight pole. These poles come from a manufacturer where they are made all at once. The minimum is 12. I bought 12 last year. We put 6 up. I have 6 in stock. When I get down to maybe about 3 or 4, I'll get a price and all that to purchase another 12 if need be, or try and talk with them, see if I could purchase half of that.
Just inventory in general?
They're out in the open. We see them every day. You know, we keep track of stuff, you know, as we're using it. If we're using it more, we'll go ahead and get a price to it daily, weekly. So we kind of keep track of what we're doing.
I mean, record it. You know, you take inventory to see what you low on.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
It might be oil.
Yeah. Probably on a week to 2 week basis.
Okay.
Plus, when the guys use the supplies, they'll let us know, hey, we're running low, you know, can you grab it? Because some of the supplies are in the back garage where the guys, you know, will unlock it, they'll get what they need and then lock it back up.
It's like an individual that give out the, whatever you need, the supplies. They sign a book to state that they have X, Y, and Z supplies.
Yes.
And that way you can keep count of your inventory.
Yes.
So when you need to order one, because like I said earlier, when we was going through the invoices, it was excessive to us.
Right.
So therefore, that's why I'm asking about how do you
Right.
keep your inventory?
Yeah,
Do
we
you
keep
have
it
an
on,
inventory log?
the weekly.
Is Chief Collins there to pass out hypothetically, pass out the inventory, have your other employee to sign the book to state that they have it, and supply person let you know when you're down and what you need.
Yep. Yeah, it's on weekly. 591, moving on, is the rentals. We had it for 2,500. We spent 1,079. I put it to 3,000. I left a little bit to play with because we have rented payloaders, backhoes in the past when ours was down, in case we needed to rent anything. But that can be changed. It can be taken down if need be, because everything is up and running smoothly so far. Haven't had really any issues. Other contractual services, that's 297. I'm sorry, 597. $597 was dealing with the Elgin street sweeping company that we had out. We don't have them this year. We have our sweeper up and running. I don't know. That was dealt with through Stan with a contract agreement with them. So I didn't budget it. Nobody brought it up to me. We have our street sweeper out every day, out sweeping. So that's why I left it alone for the time being. $598 is other municipal or other miscellaneous expenses. That deals with our Kurt's Ace Hardware, Menards, Home Depot, and all that. I don't know.
Okay, well, it's got to be more than that because last budget, it's 32,006. And that's the highest. It went from 8,500 and it went up quite a bit to 32. And you're saying that's between Menards, Ace, and is that
Yes.
supplies?
Yes, that's
Between those two, that's what we're spending, 32,000 between those two vendors?
Kurt's, Menards, Home Depot. Yes. But that one, if I remember right, I took that one out also because of 511, is maintenance, service, buildings, and grounds. So anything that was coming out of the other miscellaneous expenses, according to the account that I had printed out, was dealing with Menards, Home Depot, and Kurt's.
Okay, I see that.
And I left it there in 511. Uh, 6, 11, 12, and 13. All right there. Those were the ones that were taken out and were combined with 5, 11, 12, and 13. That's why there's nothing budgeted for those. 617 is the maintenance supplies for street lighting. That's why I took the 572 and I just left it in the 617 because it's dealing with the supplies for the lights and that. It was budgeted 10,000. We spent 12, so I put it to the 25,000, like I said, due to the case that we have to purchase any light poles or arms like that. 619 is the maintenance supplies for the street signs. We were at 3,000. We went to 3,800. I moved it to 10,000. This past year, we've had a lot of handicap signs that have gone up. The signs, the fee signs, the posts, all that. If you take all of them, it's like $200 to put the sign, the post, and all that up. And then we've been replacing the signs that were not replaced with the, I'm not sure if it was a grant or the loan in 16. Some of the older signs we're out replacing where the letters are coming off and they're fading away. So I did 10,000 due to having to replace brackets, some of the signs, posts that we need. We get the U-channel posts, the circle posts, those are all different costs. So that's why I took it up to 10,000.
Question on the street signs, Matt.
Yes, sir.
How do you all know when to replace a sign? You get a call in, or is there an inspection how does it work?
We ride through areas. We have it broken down in the 5 map areas. When we ride through the area, we'll write down, or we'll get some of the residents that call in and say, you're missing a letter. And when the guys go out there, if they can repair the sign, they'll repair it. If not, then we pull it down and we'll replace it. Office supplies, even in 16, it was 3,000. We spent 16. Last year it was 2,000. We spent 10,312. So I just put it right to 10,000, just to be for our supplies. This year I know we did have 2 printers go down, and we had 2 of the computers replaced by the clerks. IT came in and replaced those, and they got us new ones. The printer that we had was ancient old one that IT put in that it should be replaced. Janitorial supplies is 1,200. In 16 it was 1,200. We didn't use anything, so I moved it to 15 because we were mainly using it out of 511, the maintenance service buildings and grounds. So I told myself and John, we're just going to go pick up our tissues, our soaps, our cleaners, and all that, and we will take it out of that GL number.
Did you just say y'all was not using that?
We didn't use it last year.
So why would
that
you
line.
increase it to 1,500 if you didn't use it?
Well, because we were pulling it out of 511, using tissues, soap, mops, all the mop heads that we had to replace. So I can leave it at 1,200. That doesn't matter to me. I was just thinking, in case of the increase.
Yeah, you should, especially you don't know the amount that you really was using. You increased it off for what?
Cost of living, or the raising of the next year.
I think you should leave it at the 12. You didn't even touch it.
We can leave it. That's fine. That's not a problem.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I was under the impression that Miss Evans, that you sent in, everybody sent an invoice to Miss Evans on ordering supplies, mop heads, things of that nature, and I thought you bought in bulk.
We would buy them in bulk at Menards, because we would go there to pick up other supplies. We get the heavy-duty contractor trash bags. The stuff that we purchase from Miss Evans is all of our office supplies, the paper, the ink, all that stuff, folders, files, whatnot.
Okay, and everything else is purchased through Menards?
Yeah, we would get it in big bulk there, too.
So, is there any way possible, what about Melody Fitness Center? Do you supply the toiletries also?
No, we don't mess with Melanie. they're on their, they do their own thing, I'm assuming. I never dealt with them.
So it would make more business sense to me for all you all to come together and order your supplies in bulk, as opposed to Melanie's doing their own thing,
Right.
you doing your own thing, over here doing their own thing.
Mhm.
That would make more sense to me. If you Public Works, if you picking up the supplies, you could pick it up for everybody, and it would probably be less costly if you ordered it in bulk. And maybe you might want to look at another vendor other than Menards if you order in that type of volume.
Yeah.
Or
No,
even the police department. Include them in, include the fire department in, and let's buy in bulk. That make a whole lot of sense to me.
I agree. I'll catch up with the police chief, fire chief, and Melanie, and Miss Mary Evans for here, and we'll do that. We'll start getting a list together and see what everybody needs.
Thank you very kindly. And maybe they might have some suggestions for you, who they order their supplies from might be cheaper than Menards.
Right. 655 is the automotive fuel and oil. That's broken down amongst all departments.
Question on that.
Yes, sir.
You say broken down in all departments. What do you mean when you say broken down in all departments?
I'm assuming whatever the total was, like if you get a bill for 100,000, example, 25 Public Works, 25 police. So that's the way it's been going. I left it the way it was for what we budgeted last year.
No, my understanding, the fuel for the police department, and if you can correct me, Chief Collins, you have your aligned budget item for fuel for your vehicles, correct, and oil?
Yeah, that, our line item is 75,000.
Right. So if you look at your budget document in 2016, you all spent $39,000 in fuel and oil, and it went up to $57,900 for fiscal year 17. But now you go up $75,000. So if that's just for the public works vehicles, that number is not making much sense to me. If it's strictly your vehicles, because that's a combination of diesel, gasoline, and oil, correct?
Yep.
So can you see the difference? Ms. Redmond, if you look at 2016, they spent $39,000, and in 17 it jumped up to like almost $18,000 to $57,000. So we're projecting to go even higher for 2018.
Trustee, the way it's set up, it is set up in our system that is different allocations for different departments. I apologize, but I do not know the breakdowns for each department, but the fuel is for Public Works, Housing, PD, and FD. I can give you the breakdown.
Okay.
I can email it to you tomorrow.
So there are other departments outside of Public Works when we look at this fuel cost.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you said it's housing, Public Works, and another one you mentioned.
Police and fire.
Police and fire.
Well, police is not on there. They're saying they have that. There was, if you look on his budget that he just presented, they have their own line item for fuel, and it was around $75,000 if I remember.
Correct.
So it's $75,000 police and then $75,000 for this.
Correct. And if you look at housing, for example, they have a budget of $20,000 for fuel. I can get you fire.
No, I understand all that, but I'm trying to see if you add police to this, we're at $150,000
Correct.
for fuel.
Just for those.
But you
two
said
departments.
this is including police department.
No, each department has their own separate line item for fuel.
Yes. Okay, except for Public Works, which includes housing. and
No,
We're
there are
on,
4 separate line items for fuel for each department.
Okay,
So basically, the way it works, I receive an invoice from Avalon Petroleum. I dump that entire number into our system,
Okay.
and the system automatically distributes amongst the 4 departments based on the percentage for each department.
Okay, again, then why would there be a fluctuation from 39,000 in 2016 to jump up to 57 and then continually rise? Because prices of fuel has not increased that much to go from 39 to 70 to 57.9, and then we're projecting 75. So maybe
That
I'm
is
missing
correct.
something.
So I can't tell, I'm not sure if I can go back in our system to see if maybe there was a change in the different percentages spread across those 4 departments. That can be an issue there.
Okay. I'll meet with you on it one-on-one. We can go. I don't want to take up all the time on that issue. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next line item is 830, purchase of new equipment. It was 69,000 last year. It was budgeted for 71.6. There are some numerous things that should be looked at on purchasing and all that. I have gotten prices for, number one would be a street sweeper. I had these all last year, looking into replacing them. The street sweeper right now is a 1990, no, I'm sorry, disregard, I'm sorry, it's a 2006. I looked in, we've spent a lot of money in repairs throughout the past couple of years. That street sweeper, every part in that street sweeper moves as soon as you turn the button on to sweep. It does have its own lubricating system that lubricates the parts, but it's being a 2006, it's so old, we're replacing a lot of stuff, and it's costing us money every year when we go to start it up. To purchase a new one would be $212,000. They do have used refurbished ones that are, I got a price anywhere from 2010 to 2012. It all depends on what they have sitting on their lot. Those go for roughly $135,000. I've talked to them. They're willing to go as far out as a 5-year payment plan if we wanted to purchase one. That's one of the first pieces that I think we need to replace soon. I talked to him about a trade-in with the one we currently have. He told me, he said, just drive it into the ground. He said, you will not get nothing worthwhile on trading in that. So that's where I'm at with a new piece of equipment.
Now, what days do you guys clean the streets?
It follows the garbage route every day, as long as it's up and running. If it's broken down, with the age of it being an 06, they have to order parts. Parts take anywhere from 2 to 5 days to get them shipped in.
So if it's shut down, you don't clean the street?
No, not with a sweeper, no.
Okay, and why is there no plan in place as far as letting residents know the dates you coming out to clean the streets?
It's been for the 20 years I've been here after the garbage day. We follow after the garbage day.
So you've been here 20 years, so you should have a plan in place by now, over 20 years,
I-
to say, we cleaning the streets on Mondays, move your cars to this side. Chicago got that plan. Why don't we?
We tried that plan, and the plan failed. It didn't work.
Why did it fail?
Because cars weren't paying attention to the signs. I mean, we did it to where we went and put a sign on every tree. We stapled it, tied it, everything. Cars weren't moving.
So it wasn't enforced, basically. So basically, people didn't.
Yeah, that and being enforced, and also we had 2 guys that were going out up and down, whatever. Like if the garbage route was 20 blocks long, we had 2 guys out the day before running up and down streets putting signs.
Yeah, I think that's something that you should bring back. I think you should create a plan so people know to move their vehicle, so that the drains will stop being full of leaves, especially when fall hits. I think you should come up with something and give it to the board.
Okay.
And then last, the equipment. Remember last board meeting, you stated you purchased 2 lawn mowers?
Yes.
Okay, do you have that price of how much the lawn mowers were? 'Cause you
Yes,
told
ma'am.
me it was $1,000 for
Yes,
two lawnmowers?
I misunderstood it. Yes, it came out to be $3,400. The one was $1,450, which was a heavy-duty Briggs & Stratton's engine on it. They're like bush hogs. And the other one was a Honda for $1,950.
So how did you misunderstood my question of how much did you spend for two lawnmowers?
I told you I thought. I didn't tell you I knew for sure. And the
sounds
reason,
You was brushing me off about just
No,
saying
ma'am.
$1,000
No.
because two lawnmowers don't cost $1,000. And then, secondly, you said you didn't know who signed for this invoice. And it clear as they say Matt Stacy, superintendent, for $3,400. And I could have sworn the board passed something stating that you could not go over $1,000 without board approval.
right,
Okay, so how did you manage to do that?
because anything over 1,000 and below 5 goes to the administrator.
I don't see Stan Urban name on here anywhere.
Well, this is the copy from my office. This
Okay, so
isn't
you
the
telling me
copy.
that Stan Urban approved this $3,400?
This isn't the copy that comes here.
Okay, did Stan Urban approve this invoice for $3,400?
When I turn the bills in, I gave them to him. Or I turn them in downstairs, anything over the $1,000 comes up to him.
So you saying he did, basically?
I haven't seen the receipt that went to financing that paid it.
Okay. That's the end of my questions, trustee.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I had asked Mr. Urban about the lawnmowers, and did he have the invoice and could I see them? And he stated to me he was unaware of any lawnmowers being purchased. Okay? Also, I went over to Calumet City.
Mhm.
They have nice little signs, about like this, the yard signs. They stick them in the ground to let the residents know that they're sweeping the street tomorrow
Okay.
between such and such hours.
Okay.
No parking.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if you have ever had opportunity to ride over there to check that out.
I could give them a call and see if I can meet them and see what they use.
Okay, that would be great. But everybody received a email from Stan that there is a freeze on spending. Did everybody receive that email? Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, I have two questions. Number one, back to the street sweeper item 830. You're asking for 71.6, but you said a refurbished street sweeper was about $100,000, correct?
Yes, if we were to do the two payments, a semi-annual payment plan would be around 40 to 50,000 for the year for two payments. If we was to purchase a new one, that's what the cost was earlier this year. He didn't include it on this one, but I can find out. And if we looked into the plan on a used sweeper, refurbished one, I'm sure it would be cheaper. I left on, I'm not sure how myself and Yvonne figured out the 71, but that's what's on there. But like I said, I can find out the exact numbers for a new purchase and the exact numbers on a payment for
You gave a number. You said, and I don't remember exactly, it was about 100 for.
Yeah, 135 for a refurbished. But I'm saying for like a semi-annual payment to do the lease purchase plan, we would be able to, with a lease purchase plan, do up to a 5-year payment plan, which would be 2 payments a year.
Okay. Secondly, you said that the street sweeper has been in the shop consistently because it's a 11-year-old machine.
Right.
2006, correct?
Yes.
How much did we pay in maintenance to keep that running? Because would you have those numbers in front of you?
As of right now, I had it printed yesterday. I got it in my pile here. As of right now, we're around 15,000 just this year. And it's possible it could break down. Plus, you got to understand the side brooms and the main brooms that we have to purchase. The big main broom underneath it is just right around $600. The side brooms, if I remember correctly, I didn't bring them prices. I want to say for one set is 100 or 125. And if it's out every day going, the side brooms wear down faster, and the main broom usually lasts a little bit longer than the side broom.
One more question for you. My garbage pickup day is Friday. I've never, and I'm on one of the main streets, never seen it go down.
It's gone down on a Monday or Friday.
Monday or Friday? Okay.
We do all main drags on Friday.
Okay, you just made a statement that it follows the garbage route.
Yes. Well, you're on the main road. We make sure we do the main roads on Friday. With yours being garbage day, they do the best that they can on Friday, but then they're out there on a Monday because they follow the route.
Okay, I'm gonna look for them.
Matt, you might want to look at Riverdale also. They have permanent signs. I think a permanent sign is the way to go so that we don't have somebody out every week trying to put signs out. Riverdale look like they have one at the beginning and the end of the block.
Right.
And they tell me that it works out great. Last year I got quotes for those signs. I think you went behind and got lower quotes than I did.
Yeah,
So
I'll have to pull them out,
if we could do something like that, put together a plan, because it would be great if they did follow the garbage vehicles
Right.
on a regular basis, because my street, it gets swept sometimes, but most of the time it gets missed, and I would love to see a plan put in place.
Okay, not a problem, sir.
And I don't think they should follow the garbage route because that means the garbage can is in the way of them cleaning the street.
No, they follow it. If your garbage is on Thursday, we're sweeping it on Friday.
Okay. Okay, my last question was the tree trimming. You said that the list that I gave you, you went by and trimmed the trees?
Well, we've been going off the list. I don't know, yours should have been added to it. If they weren't, if you can, please give me the ones that were missed. I'll get you a copy of the ones that we've been trimming so far.
See, this is what my problem is. If I give you some at a board meeting, Matt, I think you should follow through with me and say, trustee, did it get taken care of, or make sure it got taken care of, because that's why I spoke on it at the board meeting. I shouldn't have to come back a year later and say, Matt, it's still not done. We vote on things you tell us. We do what you guys say because you're out there on the street every day. And if you telling me one thing and it's another, just like you just told me you trimmed those trees. How you trimming dead trees? I gave you a list for dead trees. So you shouldn't be trimming them. You shouldn't be cutting them down. Your guys went out there and marked those trees, and they still not cut down. Why?
Okay. I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody?
Are you going to cover items 421 through 830? Even though it looks like it's separate, I don't know, Ms. Redmond, did you want Mr. Stacy to cover that also, even though that's one individual, which is a part of Public Works, or when I say part of Public Works, he's not part of the union, but that's an individual.
Correct.
So how you want to do that?
This one should be really quick. So for Department 42, there's nothing we can do about, well, I shouldn't say nothing, but the salary is for the one employee. And most of these numbers are formula driven. So the salaries, there will be no changes to the salaries, medical insurance, and benefits. Previously, Department 42 was under Public Works Department. So we will need, Scott Gilmore is requesting $2,000 for maintenance for his vehicle. The supplies he was asking for $3,800. That was basically for tools. That has been removed, as well as the snowplow for $28,000. That has been removed.
So the last three items were removed, 2,000, 3,800, and the 28K.
No, the 2,000 is still in there. The 38 and the 28K has
The
been
miscellaneous, okay, yeah, okay. So does the board see that we're eliminating on items 651 and 830, and the Mr. Redmond will make the adjustments on the updated budget document. So that's all I have, Mr. Stacy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Matt.
Now, there's a typo on this agenda. I believe it would be citizens' address, since there is no new business. Citizens' address?
Ain't got no vehicle no more. You do. Oh, they probably gave him a vehicle.
Hi, Allison Key. My first question is, Public Works, how often do you inspect the light poles in the community?
Never.
It's for lighting, because, it's for lighting, just the bulbs or whatever, so that we can have lights?
You're saying adding street lights or what?
No, we have light poles up that the lights actually are not on.
Okay.
And
where's
so
that
we're
at?
going down a dark street. On 153rd, right off of Blackstone, that street going along the expressway, hasn't been lights there for a very long time. I
Talking
tend,
about, going along the expressway, right?
Yes.
Stony Island?
if that's
Harper?
the street, it's
Yeah.
153rd Street. If you go there at night, it is pitch black.
Right.
And that is a route that I take home. And that street ends there, and then you got this wooded area, so it doesn't look very secure, so I have to cut down another street to avoid, because there's no lights down there. It's pitch black.
Right. There is one on the corner right there when you come out of the curve, but there are none on that block, and there are none on Blackstone. We've talked with ComEd numerous times to try and see if they can get us a PowerPoint to where we can come out of, because all the electric is in the back easements over there. So they have to, and we have to work with the residents to try and get them to allow us to run electrical wires between their houses and all that. Some people have said no, some people have said yes. So I can go and look into that again with our ComEd representative to see what we can do.
So you're saying ComEd is responsible for lighting on that street?
No, we can do it, but we have to get a power source.
So there's never been lighting there before?
No, there's never been lighting on them 2 blocks, as long as I can remember.
I've been here over 20 years, and I just don't recall that, but if you say that.
There's
But I
no
think
light
for
post.
a safety, no, I've seen a light post with no lighting. And if you take a look, before you get to the dead-end street, there's a light post like on 100, I'm assuming that's the end of 153rd or the beginning. There's a pole there, but there's no light.
If it's a wooden one, that's a ComEd, that wouldn't be us.
So do we contact ComEd when we don't have lighting?
I can contact them, and they'll come out and they'll do a survey and all that, especially if they have wooden poles up there. We can ask them if they can put a light on there.
Okay,
Depending on if there's a transformer on it, they won't put one on it, if I
okay,
remember right. I'll double check tomorrow and find out.
okay, thank you.
What was that address, Ms. Key?
I don't have the exact address, but it's like 153rd on the street that's along the expressway going north.
Harper.
It's Harper?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just know there's no light over there.
Ms. Key, I
And-
think your question was how often are lights inspected to see which lights are out?
Yes,
Has your
that's what I
question been
really wanted to
answered?
know.
So-
Well, according to what he's saying, that's possibly ComEd's responsibility or so forth. That's what I'm understanding.
We go out and check the lights as the residents call in to us. I can look in, get in a crew to go out at nighttime to have them just drive around and check areas.
I think we should do that.
As residents call in and let us know that the lights are out, that's when we get them.
I think we need a special order for them to check the lights at night, because in particular, it took me months on 154th to get our light replaced. And we called in numerous times, and no one came out. So it just took me to have to literally get in the mayor's face and say, look, we need our lights on. And so I think that an inspection should be done, because you wouldn't know if they're out if you're off work at 5 o'clock and it's still light outside. I think that you guys need to do an inspection of lights to see where the lights are out. and make sure we have them all on.
Just real quick, on occasion, when the police are patrolling during the hours of darkness, they report which lights are out also.
Okay, that's good too, but the other question, and suggestions that I'm making, I'm listening to the budget. This other contractual service, and Officer Collins, I heard you mention that there were charges that you wasn't aware of that hit your budget and other contractual services. That budget went up to like close to $500,000. Again, I asked this question at the last budget meeting, who is monitoring these budgets to make sure that we don't go over? Because we have a budget that's $5 million over, and you had a list of things that you're looking at possibly increasing to prevent, to offset this budget. Some of those costs could affect the residents directly. I have a concern if we're not paying attention to our budget and we're just allowing it to go over all the time, and then you look into the residents to offset these overages, that's not fair to us. That's not fair to us. So if a budget, and I noticed in most of these budgets, particularly, I don't have my budget in front of me, but there's substantial overages in a lot of line items. And it doesn't, I don't know how you can still spend if you're over in a line item, because someone should notice that we're over in that line, and unless you're doing a budget revision or something to move money from another line in your budget, within your budget, you should not be able to go over that line item, and you're going over substantially. Public Works, you went over $239,000. How is that possible? Because, the village is suffering because this type of management is happening, and somebody should be held accountable for this. And I know that the board does not look at day-to-day operation, but maybe you guys should probably take a look at day-to-day operations. I've seen other organizations where the board had to take over day-to-day operation when there's this type of mismanagement. So we have to get a handle on this budget, and that's why I'm coming here, because the residents cannot continue to pay for this type of mismanagement. This is just so unfair to us. It's so unfair. And I noticed that you guys are looking at things now. I applaud you for that. But moving forward to the next year, we need to cut some of these budget line items, because if we're already in a hole, how are we continue to go up and we're not trying to go down? How are we eliminating things that we feel that are duplications? I just think those are things, and I'm sure you're probably already looking at it, but I'm just saying it, to you based on what I see. Another suggestion, office supplies. How come you just can't have a general office supply area budget where each department has to come to that general office supply storage unit or wherever and get their supplies? Because then they can sign out for their supplies. You can control where the supplies are going and not have all these huge office supply budgets. And this way it can be controlled better, just like you guys talked about the fuel. You can control office supplies the same way, because people are signing out for it.
I just mentioned that office supply person where you purchase in bulk, as opposed to this department doing their own thing and this one doing their own thing. Let's collaborate and order everything in bulk, and it's cheaper in bulk.
And that office supply line item should be removed from each department's budget and put in maybe an administrative budget of someone who's going to be monitoring it, because I'm just looking at ways that we can try to cut this budget, and those are just small things. I looked at this other contractual services, and I hope you guys are looking at it too, because I'm not understanding how we can go so substantially over in that line and not identify what those items are, and that they're not being pre-approved before they're spent. I just see a very loose budget here. And again, we cannot afford as residents to continue to fund this village and take the cost for things that are being mismanaged.
You've made this point many times, and I totally agree. And as you know, as a manager, We have a village administrator that meets with these department heads for each department. And as you know, a village is like a business is running real time. So you should be looking at this budget daily, weekly. Like we heard about some expenditures that came in. You know, oftentimes finance may not get it until the receipt it's paid for, and then department is getting. It should be day to day that any expenditure should come through the village administrator talking to each department head to making sure that you're either at or under budget. But I don't think it's been done that way.
I don't
remember
either.
you saying this before. I think
I don't either.
Last year or so, and I don't see it being done. And until we get a grasp on it, there's going to be some cuts. We got to increase some fees. But in the meantime, this budget has to be looked at on a regular basis, especially in many departments.
Absolutely. And before you approve the 2018 budget, I think that you guys should, I hope that you will look at some things that maybe we need to cut. I understand what departments are asking for, but does it make sense for us to move forward with those items considering we're broke?
Yeah, it's basically almost like, I hate to say it,
Unless it's an emergency type thing. I
Yeah.
understand police department, fire department, in some cases, public works, in some cases, but if nobody's controlling what they're spending and they're going out purchasing items without getting internal approval, that's a problem. So nobody has control. So that means that you guys can submit an invoice for something and it'll just get approved.
No checks and balances.
You know, because there's no checks and balances, and I really feel that someone should be held accountable for that, because in no other company will this type of deficit be allowed without some heads rolling.
That's right.
I agree.
You know, and I'm hoping, and I have my faith in you guys because you have become united, and I like that, and I know that you're paying attention. I just really hope that you pay close attention to this and that we address this as we move into 2018.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Keys, we did vote on a central purchase policy. I recall doing that. I don't know what happened to that department where they're supposed to just buy all the supplies from one area.
Right.
Again, mismanagement. Someone's not overseeing that. So I don't know how it got this far where each department is ordering their own supplies. We
Right.
voted for that. It's a policy
Right.
in place. You might want to pull that ordinance.
Right. And that's just a small line item. There are so many other ones. Again, this other contractual services seem to be substantial. And that could be anything. I mean, I hope that you guys request invoices and contracts or whatever so you can just see exactly what those items are, and are those really items that we should have been billed for.
Thank you.
Prior to fiscal year 16, we had a special fund, Fund 11 was the 911 fund. That's where we were paying our buds and ambulance bills. They were monthly bills. We have a contract with them. It was coming from Fund 11. It was an audit recommendation that we close that fund. We have a separate checking account, but we don't have to have that fund anymore. So those expenses were paid from police and fire. However, talking to Fire Chief McCain, we determined that it's not an expense directly related to police and fire. It's an actual general admin expense. So which is why you will see in the budget that the monies did come from police and fire last year, but is now under general administration.
So you've moved that.
That is correct.
Okay, so they won't have these large charges
Right.
hitting
So,
their budget.
For contractual services for police and fire, it was not mismanagement.
Well, it looks like it on paper.
Right.
It looks like it on paper. And if we are budgeting for certain things, it should be specific in that budget. It shouldn't just all be lumped in the other. Because when you put things in other, to me, it looks suspicious.
Understood. And another issue that you just mentioned. So just last week, there was an email that had gone out. No one is to make any purchase at all without receiving approval.
Who approved invoices?
That has to go through the village administrator. So the way it's supposed to be set up, in which Public Works is, they are adhering to the new policy. We have to receive a purchase order before a purchase is made. The approval has to come from the village administrator. If he is not available, I make that decision if whether or not we can go forth and purchase an item.
So you're just starting that?
Yes.
Yeah, that should have been going on long since we've been in existence. It never should have a budget that anybody can just spend any way they choose to spend.
Agreed.
Is there anyone else?
Just me, trustee. I just want to make an announcement. Everybody know or heard that our firefighter, Lawrence Matthews, passed. We are raising funds for his family and also for a repast this weekend. So if anybody want to contribute, please inbox me. Any of you that's following me on Facebook under Good Burger or under Trustee Tiffany Henyard. Again, we looking for funds for the food for the repast this Saturday. The funeral is at 10 a.m. Well, 11 a.m. The wake is at 10 a.m. The funeral is at 11 a.m. And we're looking for funds for the food. Thank you.
Also, there is a GoFundMe page for him. And the way you find out for those, and hopefully this will make the internet or the channel 499, you go GoFundMe/Lawrence Matthews, and you can also contribute that way along with the repast that Trustee Henyard is referring to. Is there any other announcements?
Yeah, I don't know if we can get a consensus of the board of what the village can pay to go towards the food. So I'll send an email out to everybody up here just to kind of get your thoughts, and y'all tell me if y'all want to do it or not.
Okay, we'll take it under consideration. I don't think we can make that's part of the Finance Committee right now, but I guess we can talk among ourselves on that. Any other announcements? No other? Then I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Oh, you have an announcement, I'm sorry. Withdraw my motion.
June 20th, the electronics program is up and operating. That's our first day. Anything that have a plug constitutes a electronics. So you can bring it to the old village hall behind the fire station. 17. You changed the date up. I'm sorry, the 17th.
Can she have the flyer so she can just read off of it, please?
Thank you. They changed the date. They told me the 20th. Told me the 20th. You know who.
Why don't you just read off? Can you read it?
It's that time of the year again, go green. The Village of Dolton 2017 Home Electronics Recycling Event. Free recycling for anything with a cord. Saturday, June 17th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. 14022 Park Avenue behind the fire department, station number 1. For questions or more information, you can call myself, Trustee Valerie Stubbs, at 708-497-0160. That's this Saturday. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay, if there are no more announcements, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our Board of Trustees Finance Committee meeting.
Second.
Take the roll, please.
Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee Denton.
Aye.
Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.